I'm Sue Greenwald with Awakened Stories. I'm here today with Deanna Carr with the Mystical Moonlight. Hey, Dee.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. We are
Yeah.
going to try to do an uninterrupted video today about what Deanna calls the game zone. And that's basically what we are experiencing here on Earth right now. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to talk more about this. For those of you that haven't seen the previous videos, Deanna doesn't like to answer a lot of my questions when we're together because I drive her crazy. So I have to I sneak one in here and there, but it's really it's good to have a concentrated amount of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are here on Earth and we see a lot of crazy and what I call upside down stuff happening. And we know it's a time of awakening and all of that. And we know that there's more to Earth than what we've been taught the Earth is. Okay, so
Yeah.
the Earth is bigger than what we know about. All right, and so that's a whole separate topic, maybe. But can you kind of describe what you mean by the game zone?
Okay, so for the game zone, everybody has a different theory. So some think that the Earth is flat, some think that it's larger than expected. And in my opinion, it is larger than expected. They've only given us a portion of it. And there is data behind it that shows that we're being told and misled. But what I consider the game zone is that area that we are in. So, every country that they've shown us, all of the oceans, all of that is part of the game zone.
Right.
So it's where we've been placed so that they can kind of do experiments, testing, see what kind of chaos we can come up with ourselves. We are the game pieces itself, but we're thoughtful pieces. So it makes it more interesting than if they're doing it themselves.
Right.
Now, they like to put in things that are going to throw us off, things that are going to make us upset to see what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, we are the moving chess pieces.
Okay. So let me ask a question. Smarty says that the Earth is like an 8 ball for a pool ball. The little white part that number 8 is where we live now, like what we know about the continents and whatever of Earth, and the rest is we're not told that it even exists, and that's why the flat earthers can't come up with the right calculations and they think the Earth is flat. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I completely agree with that. The Earth is definitely probably at least 10 times larger than we expect, like what
Oh,
we're told is.
okay.
It could be larger than that, but the number I get is 10. Um, and it is a cause for a lot of chaos with the idea of the flat Earth, because there are parts in that theory that are actually sound, they have the ice wall. There are things that
Right.
kind of collaborate with when you talk about the Earth being larger. So there are things that collaborate that
Right.
do make sound choices. But the Earth is not completely flat. There is just we're not being shown the whole picture.
Right.
So that's where we're having that miscommunication. But I completely agree 100% that it is larger than we are told.
Okay, so the game zone in your definition is inside the firmament, like what we've taught has been
Yeah,
Earth. Now,
yeah,
Smarty also said there was a dome over Earth, or our
yes.
part of Earth, and it was taken down in 2017. You agree with that as well?
It's part of it is still up actually.
Oh,
So pieces of it are still in place. Um, it's weird. It's like when you see it in your head, like there's glimpses of it. So there are pieces that are still up, but there are pieces that are starting to break down. So
okay.
if you a lot of you have probably seen a lot of those like videos on TikTok or Instagram or whatever where they're finding the glitches.
Yeah.
And those parts are the pieces that are still up and running but are now starting to fail. So
Okay.
people are that are, asleep are starting to recognize, hey, there's something off.
Okay.
So it's a huge thing right now. So a lot of people that are not awake are becoming awakened because they're seeing these glitches.
Okay. So, in your definition, what is the game? Okay, so we're running around like, living life or whatever, living the way we're told to live in our societies. There's different races, different continents, wars, all sorts of crazy stuff. What is the game?
Peace.
Peace.
Can you find peace in chaos? It's the only thing that makes complete sense. They continue to throw obstacles, challenges, madness, chaos at all of us. And think about it. Most of us go along with it. We all get angry. We all get infuriated. There's some sort of emotion connected that drives us to do what we've done or do what we're supposed to do. But what if we stop doing what we think we're supposed to do? If we think that we're supposed to have an emotional reaction to something, are we going along with the game or are we actually stepping out of the game?
Mm.
So by us changing the way we respond and the way we look at things, we are stepping out of the game. But the big part of the game is all of us have to do it. And it has been done before. There are multiple cultures that have actually completed the game. And that's why we find remnants of them. So it's something that I believe firmly that most of these tribes and cultures that have just kind of disappeared and we have all these questions about are actually cultures that have completed the game and have found peace even during the stressful times and the chaotic times.
Okay, so what you're saying is that if each one of us could find a way to feel peaceful and calm during all the chaos that's going around, and that would spread out and ripple around, the game
Yes.
would be complete.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's say we were able to have 80% success there. Let's say 80% of the population were peaceful and calm. Would the game still continue? Would the rest of them, or like would some of us get out, or?
So you'll start to notice that some of them will still be in the game. So it's kind of like the awakens part.
Okay.
So you start to awaken, you get your idea of peace, and then you've kind of evolved, and you'll notice that your life has changed. It becomes more easier, things become better, you'll get what you want. All these things start to just happen naturally for you versus those ones that are still in the game where they're still struggling tremendously because they're still part of the game. So you'll notice that you're kind of exiting out of the game. They still want 100% out because that is the complete win. But if we get 80% out at least, we will stop playing the game and you'll notice your life takes like a dramatic turn and for the better.
Okay. So that's what we would call ascension, many of those in the spiritual genre,
Yeah.
right? So that's ascension. And that's really what we've been working toward, the past 10, 20 years, really focused fashion.
Yeah, so if we hit ascension, you'll notice those things happening. Now, when I'm talking about these cultures that have just kind of dissipated and disappeared, that's because they've hit the 100%.
Okay.
So if we can hit the 100%, we are no longer bound to these contracts we've created for this realm. So once we hit that 100%, we go off and do our next, job that we're supposed to. So this is just one part of our contract. Once we get out of this 100%, we'll go on to our next contract to do whatever else we need to do. And hopefully it's to completely wipe out this game. You know what it reminds me of? If you've ever seen Jimmy Neutron, you remember the one episode where it's the game show. And remember, they're on the game show and they accidentally get taken up and they're more species of aliens, so they're all confused about it. But in this game show they actually are destroying planets, and what they do is you have to participate in the game or your planet's destroyed. So that's a perfect representation of what's going on.
Okay. So yikes, I've got so many questions, I don't know where to start, but let's ask this. Did we, the game players, volunteer, or like, are we forced to be here, or did we decide, yeah, we want to play?
We decided that we wanted to change it. We decided that this wasn't going to happen any longer. And so we signed contracts to come down here and fix Earth, because this is a big spot for this game zone. So it really does need a change, but part of it was we chose to do this contract.
All right. When you say we, does that mean every single person here on Earth, or do you mean like the group that probably is going to listen to this video?
Um, that's a good question. Well, everybody signed a contract before they've come into these bodies, so it would be everybody.
Okay.
I think the ones that, are watching this are the ones that um were a little more powerful. They
Okay.
had more potent energy. They had something that awoke in them quicker. Whereas the ones that were really trying to help are the ones that aren't listening. And those are the ones that are kind of stuck in their ways. So it's, the ones that are potent are supposed to help those ones that are less powerful. So that way they can come up to speed.
Okay. So we had talked before about you were basically the blue fairy queen from another planet. And so you had authority and position, and you came here to help Earth. Did you
Yes.
jump into the game at that point, or was there other stuff that you did first?
I ended up jumping into the game right away.
All right. So you thought by breaking the game, okay, the matrix, however terminology you want to use it, but by jumping in and breaking the game, that would, basically assist Earth the quickest way.
Yes, because breaking the game is going to break a big chain. It's just like all this negative things that are happening.
Yeah.
To break the game, you take away that negative energy, and that's a big energy, because just think about how many beings are stuck in this game.
Right.
How many can be free from that? And it's not just, like I said, it's not the first time, so it's ongoing. So if we break the game, it's not coming back.
Okay. It's not the first time here on Earth, is what you're saying.
Yes, Earth is the most potent game zone.
Wow. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the players. Okay, who are those that are controlling the players, or who's designed the game and why? And I know we've talked about this years ago, but go ahead.
This one, nobody's gonna like my answer. Nobody.
I'm not liking this at all at this point, but go ahead.
Well, no, because this is controversial. I mean, to begin with.
Yeah.
But this has been part of my theory for years. I've had this knowledge for a while, and it is upsetting. It's very upsetting, because it's like we're stuck here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, angels are our captors, the higher beings per se. We also have dark entities. So it's a mixture of good and bad that is holding us captive.
Right.
And they've been working together for years. And a lot of people are like, no, they're good. Well, they're bored. They're bored being eternal, for whatever it's called, where they can never die. So what they've done is they wanted to spice it up and see what else they could do. So they created the game. The game is where both sides are being played. So you have your good guys and your bad guys putting into the game. Now, there are rules and regulations, but as you know, the bad guys aren't going to pay attention to that. They're going to come in and try to sneak so that they can win the game. What is it? Oh, for those that like games, Mortal Kombat is a good representation of that. So, like I said, everything that we think about is through movies, games, something. So I like to reference that kind of stuff for those that are more visual. But you have the good, the bad equally put in, and they're all playing. They all think of us as pawns. And I know most of you are going to be upset because you're like, well, we, praise these people. We give them energy. Not all of them are for it. So you will be able to decipher which ones you feel are actually trying to help, because it's kind of like everything, there's the boss that just throws you in. And then there's the people that are like, this isn't really right. So not all of them are truly for this. And they do try to help us as much as they can, but they do have obligations. So, like I said, nobody's gonna like that answer, but it is, you have angels, you have your bad guys, they're all intermingled, they're all have a stake in this, and basically we are the deciding factors on if this game continues or it breaks.
When you say we are the deciding factors, you mean we individually, or we as a society,
As a society, like
okay.
as a whole, we decide if this game breaks. Like I said, we need to get to 100% to break it. What is the difference between these other, cultures that have already played versus us? If we can beat it, we will break it because we have different things that those other cultures did not have. And that is a different understanding of our energy work, our energy field. We have more powerful players now, and we are actually larger. If you noticed before, most of the game zones were actually smaller. So why do I say this? If you look into culture, these game zones, they didn't think the earth was that big. It was smaller. It was just where they were. They had this smaller way of thinking versus now where we have more ways to travel. We have a larger society. So if we can break it now, we are going to break it.
Okay. And that's why it seems like the we're really fighting to the finish at this point.
Yes.
Like the bad guys are getting really they're getting exposed, but the stuff they're doing is pretty nasty. There's a lot of pain and suffering going on. And then the good guys are kind of like, oh, I didn't know they were so organized. I didn't know that was so true. But we're starting to get it together finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to get it together. The bad guys are very powerful because they don't care.
Yeah.
And that's really, I mean, even if you look at movies and even if you look at how people act, the bad guys don't really care because what else do they have to lose? They've
Right.
already given up. So all they want to do is win, and they don't care how.
Right. Yeah, they don't play by the rules where the good guys usually play by the rules and get screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're the good guys.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying, to summarize this, the angels were sitting up on their cloud with their harps, looking down and saying, geez, everything's going pretty good. I'm a little bored. And
Yeah.
so they created, are they the ones that created the dome, or is an extraterrestrial race responsible for that?
Extraterrestrial.
Okay.
Like I said, there's a lot of players in this,
Yeah.
that have created it.
Okay.
So it's not just Angel. Like I said, you have the mixture. So were terrestrials that created the dome. Right now, the dome is breaking. There's, like I said, plenty of videos that are showing that. And now there are people getting across the ice wall. The ice wall is part of the edge of the dome.
Right.
So most of the time you couldn't get through it, but now there are people that are getting through it.
Right.
And they're seeing a huge difference. Like there are videos, and it is spectacular at the difference between in versus out.
Okay. I'd love to see that. I haven't seen that myself, but I've read about it,
Alan found a video. I'll have to have him send it to you.
Yeah. And I've actually I've met someone from the other side, I think, that side. And I was like, wow. Because, we're kind of weather beaten here. We're beat up. We're under stress. We've got chemical food, poison food, air and water. And it's hard to look and feel your best and have a clear head when you've got those conditions. Right.
Yeah, it's very challenging, and a lot of people give in.
Yeah.
And that's what they want. They want you to give in. They want you to give up. And it is challenging, and you just have to keep pursuing what you think is correct and right. And what do you think your higher purpose is? And that's one of the hardest things for people, especially if they're asleep. They're not really thinking, how can I better myself? They're like, how can I survive today?
Right. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're really, even we'll call it the middle class. The food prices have doubled, the gas has doubled, like the stress on the average family, let's say, is increased. And then you don't have wholesome activities or entertainment. It's just the stress level has really upped its amps in the past 2 or 3 years. So basically what you're saying is the game was designed because people were bored and they wanted to see if good could outlast evil.
Yeah,
Kind of a summary version.
yeah, pretty much. And I mean, in one way, I mean, if you're, centuries old, doing the same old, I think anybody would get bored, but it's not right for them to use living beings to create a game. So I definitely think that it needs to be changed. I think there's, if you're bored, we can come up with better plan. Create art. There's better ways besides throwing people together and seeing how much like trauma you can create.
Right. Now, so we have all the different races here on Earth, and of course, then we have different religions. So that just adds more
Complex.
complexity. It's a very complex game. Now, what about dreaming? So when we dream and we have weird disjointed dreams, like that's kind of a reality, but it's not like we're getting rest even, but
That is a good question. Dreams, are they part of it?
no.
Well, there are different types of dreams. There are, I mean, you can even talk about deja vu, even that's part of the dream cycle.
Right.
Uh, when we talk about a normal dream, it is you in whatever situation you are in your spirit form. We do not stay in our bodies.
Right.
Most of the time, I tell my clients, have protective crystals near your bed because you are going to leave your body. We all know this happens. You don't remember what's going on.
Right.
If you do remember your dreams, write them down because there are big and there's a lot of information in your dream. So write it down. But yeah, the dreams are part of wherever you go, and you can jump realities, you can astral project. And most of us do this without us even realizing or comprehending we're even doing it.
Okay.
Some of us even stay in form. Talking about dreams, then you have, sleep paralysis, and that is where the demons visit you. It is not something that you want to be part of. And for those that do suffer it every day, I I've gone from myself. I can't imagine, and I apologize for whatever they've been putting you through.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess then the big question is not only how do we win the game, but how can each person live their life in a way that they can live this happy, vibrant life without a lot of negativity and darkness affecting them. Many of those in the Jedi community, like I'll wake up, I've been attacked physically, I've got cuts or bruises or blood on my or whatever, I've been smashed in or whatever. And I don't know if I've been in a battle and my mind has been wiped or what's happened. You know what I mean? Sometimes I remember snippets of those.
Um, Sometimes they don't want you to remember,
Right.
or usually if you can't remember, that means you didn't make it through that round. So you go back in. So basically you've died in that spirit form and you've come back.
Oh, okay.
When you can't remember, that's not all the time. Sometimes like it's just like dreaming. Like sometimes you're supposed to remember, sometimes you're not. So there's so many mixed things about this. That's where a lot of confusion happens. But if you remember something, that means that you've definitely made it through because it's part of that memory. It's like a keepsake.
All right. Now, so for a person, let's just say a new person is watching this video, like what things could they do to hasten their spiritual development, their the increase in their vibration, their happiness level, their comfort level?
The best way to get yourself out of this is to go off grid,
Oh,
because you're taking yourself not out of the game, but you're taking them away from using you as much as they are.
right.
We're stuck in this cycle that you're stuck paying for stuff, you're stuck working for stuff, you're always stuck. But if you get yourself out, if you start to take care of yourself, if you start to take care of your lands, if you start, because then your body's going to start to feel better.
Right.
And then you're going to use your own food. You're going to stop eating what they give you. You're going to use your own medicine. So by going off grid or starting your own homestead is absolutely the best way to start your fight, not only mentally, but physically.
Right, right. So living a simpler life, a
Mhm.
more chemical-free life, right? And
Yes.
without all the societal distractions, the TV, the phone, all the
Mhm.
craziness, the news, like
Yeah.
y- y-
I don't watch the news at all.
no,
I
but you can't even make that up. It's so insane, right?
Yeah.
And people get very like upset about it. Well, rather than watch that, maybe watch more wholesome things, or meditate, read books, do projects that you love, things that make
Mhm.
you happy, right?
Yeah, do something that you have control over. Part of the reason why everybody gets so stressed out about the news is because there is no control, especially if it's not near you.
Yeah,
So it's you're just getting all this negative information. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do?
yeah,
Um, and really, all you can do is try to better yourself, your family, and whoever's around you.
right,
And, we are a team at the end of the day. We just don't feel like it.
right. So basically, take care of your physical body, because that's it. Always, when you feel good, all right, physically, you're able
Yeah.
to make better choices and decisions, and appear in the world in a happier fashion, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then it just is an upward spiral when you feel good. Now, when you feel bad, what happens? You eat bad food, you lay around on the couch and you watch crappy shows or whatever, which creates a negative spiral. Okay. So that's the first step. And then again, meditations, projects you love, time with your community, things that you like to do and that make you happy would be a really good
You
thing.
also increase your energy, your vibrancy,
Right.
and you start to, like we've talked about before, once your vibrational pattern increases, things around you, if they're lower vibrational patterns, are going to fall away.
Right.
And then you'll start bringing those higher vibrational patterns. So it's really key on bringing your own happiness, your own vibrational pattern up.
Okay. So basically, when Smarty says everything is energy, he's not kidding.
It is. And, it's crazy because once you have the vision of how we are and how we're actually structured, it is mind blowing. Like there are reasons we don't know everything because it's so mind blowing. Because once you get to that deep thought process of how we are and how energy exists and how we've created these bodies and everything around us, it is mind blowing.
Okay. I always thought our body was the most complex and unique thing. Like, it's so much more complex and
Yeah.
perfectly organized than even a supercomputer or whatever, right?
Yeah, bodies are very complex, but once you get into it, everything around you, and this goes into it, but we are like, it might be too complex. I'm gonna hold off for that one.
Okay.
It's too complex to get into now. But yes, our bodies are so complex that it's mind blowing. I mean, it is such a beautiful thing, this life. And I think that if we really work on ourselves and try to find the space that we need to be better,
Right.
we will definitely progress as a
Right.
society.
Many of us want to do humanitarian projects to make the world better. And so we're
Mhm.
kind of like working on that and planning that and doing what we can as we speak. But I
Yeah.
like to think that when those plans are implemented on a broader scale, that just brings the vibration of the earth up even
Oh, it
higher.
definitely does because now it's not just vibrancy in one place. You are bringing everywhere.
Right,
And I've told clients this too. Once we get our vibrational patterns to a certain level, we can walk around and things around us start to change.
right,
We change it by being around and creating this new vibrational pattern around us. Like I said, when we bring our vibrational pattern up, the lower ones start to fall off or
right,
they have to come up. It's kind
right,
of like a sink or swim
right,
situation. And, I do say homesteading is the best, getting off grid is the best, but you can still be out in society and still have that balance to bring that positive energy to others. So it's not like go hide away and never be around people. You still want to bring your energy around. You just want to do it where you feel comfortable and you have balance.
Right. Right. And I think a lot of people like that I know are no longer working. All right. So
Yeah.
we have more time. And of course, so there's a lot less stress in our lives, other than
Mhm.
the financial stress. Of course, that's
Yeah.
always there. But then we're able to focus on what we want to do rather
Mhm.
than what we have to do. You know what I mean? And that's a good place
It's,
to be.
I mean, it's nice to have that option.
Right.
And like the one percenters, they always have that option, so they don't understand.
Right.
Whereas, you have the struggling class, and then you have
Right.
the working but almost their class.
Yeah.
So I think once you get to that point where you can be happy doing what you want, that creates a whole new level of that vibrational pattern, because you're not stuck.
Okay. So with the advent of the internet, there's so many resources out there on, YouTube or whatever to learn new things to like, let's say you want to learn to garden or whatever. There's videos and there's books. There's so much knowledge out there. And of course there's disinformation, but
Oh,
there's so much out there for someone to utilize. And so it's really each person designing how they want their life to look.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to design what you want because it's your life
Yeah. Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, some people are happy with chaos. Some people thrive, and it's hard to understand, but they do like it. When their life is peaceful, they are self-destructive,
Mhm.
and they try to find things that are going to bring them or others down, unfortunately. And that is a habit that needs to stop. Or, like I said, we're not going to be winning this game anytime
Right.
soon,
Right.
because if you're self if you're trying to sabotage yourself, what are you trying to do to others?
Mm. Yeah. I know when I was younger, I had a lot of energy and a lot of creative ideas, and I
Mhm.
did a lot of them. But um, I when I was bored, which I really never am, but if I had to sit around for like an hour, I'd go out of my mind. Like I'm
Yeah.
wasting time, right? And
Yeah.
like I just didn't like that stillness. And now I'm good with it. It's
Mhm.
maybe maturity or maybe a deeper understanding. But now I put my efforts to where I want to. Like I said, it's a really good place to be in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I understand that part too, where it's
Yeah.
like you feel like before it was you just had to go, go, go. And
Right.
now it's you're okay with peace.
Yeah.
And it does come with time. You have to have that peace within.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying sit around for hours. Like, I'm not one that's going to meditate for hours on end. There are people that can sit for days on end meditating. So it is something that comes with time and practice and patience.
Right. I always thought that the ripple effect was such a good example because let's say you achieve inner peace and you're calm,
Mhm.
and then you go out to society or out in the world, and then you interact with people, and that peace and calm and that wisdom that you might have kind of spreads out to them, and then they go
Yeah.
back to their families, and it spreads out. And
Yeah.
that's really how we're going to change the world. It really starts within each person, right?
Yeah. It
And
definitely does. What is it? For instance, like you're just talking about when we still ourselves. So like if I'm trying to put Opal down, I'll try to bring myself to a calm stillness and almost sleep like state so that she can feel that energy and
right,
slow down. So
right,
so it's just like everything else, like you said, that ripple effect. So when we feel it, when we are in constant state of that, it's going to start to flow outward.
right, right. Okay. Anything else we need to know or talk about with this game zone? Like it's kind of I kind of cringe when we like I'm curious about it, but I don't really want to hear it. I already know.
There, there is more information. I think that some of it is going to be overwhelming.
Mhm.
I like I said, some of the information I knew people they're probably gonna, unlike me after this, but You know, it is, you can always create your own facts. You can always create your own theories, do your own research. This is the information I've been given, and most of it's actually years old. So I've had this knowledge for a while, and
Yeah.
it's not something that I just share. So this is the first time I've shared it publicly.
Right. I remember when
So,
you came across this, got the information, how upset you were. And I was,
yeah.
when you finally told me, I was like, oh, dang, like that's a really bad reason to start this. Like,
Yeah.
and especially because there's so much suffering. They're really struggling. There's a lot of pain, emotional pain as well as physical, among the animals too. And
Mhm.
it's just really sad to me that that's what we have to resort to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did the animals
It's,
volunteer, or were they no, okay.
I said, yeah, there's a lot more to it. It's very complex. And you know, there are people that have come out talking about the game and how it is something that's,
Right,
you know, happening now. But it is hard to talk about too, because like you said, people are suffering, people
right,
are dying, animals are suffering, they're dying, they're tortured, they're tormented. And the only way to stop it is for us to work together and be like oneness. We can achieve it. It is completely possible. But the problem is we are in our own way. We are self-sabotaging. We are so distracted by what this world could offer versus what it could be. You know, we think about the materialistic, not everybody, but a lot of us think about the materialistic. We have a hard time giving it up now that we're in this type of realm.
right,
And so there's always this push and pull with balance. So even if we keep this reality as it is, like if we want this materialistic stuff, we can still keep it, but we need to have the balance. We
right.
need to have the spiritual along with the physical.
I think that's what we're working toward right now. And
Yes.
yeah. All right. Anything else we need to know about this topic for now?
No, that's it for now.
The simplified version. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Dee, for your time. I really appreciate it. And we'll be talking with you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.